Hello, Tech Pros, episode 140.
Get your goal, set your goal, and then start working toward achieve it. Don't pay attention to the negatives. Toss all of those negative thoughts out. Make sure you rest, and then celebrate your goal when you've achieved it.
Welcome to the podcast where I chat with professionals who are getting the job done using technology 7 days a week. Each week, we start with Motivation Monday. Tuesday is about productivity, Wednesday, leadership, Thursday, technology, Friday, people and communication, Saturday, entrepreneurship, and Sunday, being unplugged. All right, let's get started. Hello, Tech Pros. This is Chad Bostic, and I'm excited to introduce our featured guest today, Steven Judd. Happy Sunday, Steven.
Happy Sunday to you, Chad. Looking forward to it.
Hey, are you ready to unplug and unwind?
I'm so ready that I don't even have my shoes on yet.
Man, that was probably almost borderline too much information, but I live in Florida and nobody wears shoes anytime. I went to like some fancy back to, not fancy, but you know, like all the parents go to this back to school meetup and meet the teachers and all this kind of stuff. And so people had on like press shirts, you know, either slacks or jeans, and 82% of the men were still wearing flip-flops. And I'm like, okay, cool. That's swamp life.
Yeah. I don't do the flip-flops because I can't stand that, or strap between my toes. But, you know, today's one of those days I'm going to wander around and feel the carpet and just enjoy not doing any footwear that bothers the feet.
Awesome. That's what it's all about. Well, for our audience who doesn't know Steven Judd is a 23-year IT professional who has done individual consulting, worked for 20-person startups, .com growth companies, and Fortune 100 enterprises. He's implemented from zero to hero installations as well as bleeding edge video delivery solutions, but is currently focused on application automation and procedural standardization, which, Steven, sounds amazing Monday through Saturday, but today I don't give a crap about any of that stuff, to be honest with you.
You know, what's funny about that is most people don't care about that Monday through Saturday.
Right? Hey, what the heck is a zero to hero installation?
Oh,
what is that?
That's the funny question. So, speaking of that bio, I got to tell you a quick story about that.
Sure.
I was going to sign up for the Hello Tech Pros, and I entered everything, and you know, I was listening to your podcast, and I'm like, I got to get signed up. I got to talk to Chad and get this going. And so I typed in and spent the time thinking about it. Went through your very awesome, easy form, and I typed up this excellent bio, and I read it, and I'm like, that is great. But I was doing it all on my phone, and then I got in my car, and I'm like, oh, I got to drive for a second here because, you know, texting and driving, not a good plan.
Nope. So
I went somewhere. I don't remember where I went. It was a short drive, and I'm like, okay, now I got to hit send. So I open up my phone, and the browser refreshed.
Oh, no.
So word to the wise, don't do that.
Don't do that. Yep.
Yeah, don't do that. So zero to hero is the when you get the call from a client or some salesperson sets up a client and you go show up and they have nothing. They literally have nothing. And they have no PCs, they have no network, they have no wiring, and they go, so we hear we need stuff. Can you set us up?
I heard I need some dang old interwebs. Can you hook me up with some dang old interwebs around here?
Yeah. So I had one particular law firm. They obviously had computers, but they were old, and they called us up and they're like, you know, we need the stuff. So ran the cable, set up all the computers, set up the server, set up the backup schedule, trained them on everything, new computers, knew everything, and finished the engagement and walked away. They called us 1 year later and said, we need some help. We can't find the file on the backup. So I go over there and find their file on the backup, restore it, make a couple tweaks on the server, say, okay, everything good? Yeah, everything's good. And disappeared for another year where they called me up and said, yeah, we can't find another file on the backup. In 2 years, restored 2 files, didn't do another thing at that client. Now, you know that's a good installation.
Yeah. rock solid.
It's not very good for repeat business, but it sure is good for reputation.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's always an awesome tech pro when you never have to get called back out to client side again because it just runs and it works, right? Kind of like user experiences. The best UI is no UI. It's just magic and it takes care of everything for you without you being there.
Exactly.
And, cool.
That's the real life satisfaction problem that good IT people have. And I've kind of discovered this over time is the better you are at your job, the more invisible you are. And, infrastructure guys fight with that all the time because, if they're really good infrastructure guys, the business people never know that there's a problem or was a problem or that they were on the verge of catastrophe because they're good and they found it and they fixed it and no one knows.
We're going to have to totally bring you back for a Tech Thursday or Productivity Tuesday or even a People Friday to go into that story. But honestly, this is like 4.5 minutes worth of work, which is like 4.5 minutes more work than I wanted to do on a Sunday. So let's shelve that conversation.
Excellent.
And come back later. And I have no problem telling you that, Steven, because you and I have known each other for, how long has it been? About 852 years?
No.
Or no? Not quite that long?
I thought you were going to say 8 years. So yeah, 800 years. It's a lot closer to that.
It's closer to 800 years than 8 years. But we've known each other a long time, and we were joking right before the podcast, like, what are we going to talk about? Dude, we're going to talk about the same crap that we have always talked about, only the difference today on Hello Tech Pros Unplugged Sunday is there's a microphone and it's being recorded. Other than that, it's just the same.
Yeah, and so this way our friends can laugh at us for years to come for the stuff that we said and did.
I wish they would. Honestly, Steven, I wish they would laugh at us and post things on the interwebs to make fun of us because I feel like I'm failing as a podcast host right now because I don't have many haters. Like I've gotten honestly, the feedback that I've gotten is like very polite feedback. Hello, Chad. On your guest sign up page, I think there's probably maybe a little bit too much information that you're asking for. And I have a website that like details all that information. So, man, it would be cool. Like if you just asked the guest, hey, can you be on the show? And then just like copy and pasted that stuff from my site. So I didn't have to do it. But other than that, it's cool. It's cool. It's cool. I've gotten that feedback and I've gotten the feedback like, well, dude, it's just that you post so much content all week long. I just can't keep up with you. And I'm really behind, but I want to. The one that I did listen to, it was amazing. It was awesome. It was good. But I don't have the haters, And there are friends and family and random people on the internet that are haters to me in real life, but they haven't hated on the podcast yet. And so I'm just waiting for that to happen.
So I guess you haven't posted it on YouTube yet?
It is, but I haven't really... oh
my goodness.
Yeah, so just a couple of weeks ago, I actually found out through my media host, whenever I scheduled my MP3 to go up every morning at 5:30 in the morning Eastern time, that it also has the ability to post to multiple like different things, and they just added a conversion utility in there where it will convert your MP3 and GIF or JPEG or whatever image that you put with it. It will convert that to a video file, which is just like a static image of the icon of the show or whatever, and then the audio of it playing. So that has started a couple of weeks ago, but I guess the haters haven't found it on YouTube yet.
Oh yeah, all you need is one episode to get rolling, and the hate comments will be on overdrive.
Yeah, or Reddit. And I've actually tried to submit my own podcast to Reddit, which is like a big no-no, right? Because they will flag you and stab you in the face for doing that kind of stuff. Because the Reddits are all about like, promoting cool stuff from somebody else that you've never heard of before and not your own stuff because they don't want spammers, which I completely agree with. But I can't even post on Reddit because I don't have a Reddit karma high enough to post anything. So, Maybe somebody else, one of our lovely listeners today could post Hello Tech Pros on Reddit, and then all the Reddit folks can just flame me and trash me up. And then I'll be like, yay, I made it. I'm getting hate mail from Reddit. That's pretty cool.
That's an interesting designation for success. I think maybe the organic that you have going should just be all right. Stay the course. Because when I was thinking, you and I had lunch together the last time you came through town, I think, or one of the times you came through town.
Yep.
And we talked about your podcast. And I tried to give you the best feedback I knew to give, and I think it's going really well from my perspective.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I did not pay Steven to say that. Like, I didn't buy his lunch and be like, okay, when you come on the show, you got to say good things about the show.
I paid for my own lunch, doggone it. Because you're a podcaster.
Because I'm a cheap,
out loud.
cheap jerk. That's right.
So, yeah, for those people that are having trouble getting through, my trick to podcast, I have like 6 or 7 that I'm all in on, and I don't think I've listened to the radio in my car in 5 years. The car comes with a radio, but I haven't listened to it because that's part of we're going to talk about being unplugged, but that's part of my being unplugged is I unplug my mind. Right. And some people do that in different ways. But the way I do it is I listen to people who have something to say and that I could learn from. And so I really enjoy all your guests that you have, a wide variety of them. You cover good topics. But man, it is a lot of content, 7 days a week, cranking through the podcast. So my secret weapon is I listen to everything at 2x. And, some people will laugh. And it takes a little bit of getting used to. But once you get used to it, everything sounds slow when you're listening to it at regular speed. And I'm talking just about podcasts, because obviously you can't have a 2x conversation in real life. If we tried that right now, it would be really bizarre. And then the poor people who are listening at 2x, then they couldn't listen at 2x because we'd be talking so fast. But that is my secret weapon to listening to podcasts.
Yeah, that's funny because I had a Skype conversation with an audience member who joined my Slack channel. So if you haven't already, go to hellotechpros.com/Slack to join the Slack channel, and then you can talk all kinds of smack to me and Steven and some of the other guests and some of the other audience members. But he was having a question about career stuff and whatnot. And so I said, you know what, dude, let's get on a call and just talk about it. And so as we started talking about 10 minutes into the conversation, he goes, you know what? You talk you speak much slower in real life than you do on the podcast. And I said, oh, really? I guess, when I get on my Hello Tech Pros, this is Chad Bostic, and I'm excited to, my Motivation Monday kind of intro thing. I guess it can be a little bit more high energy and he goes, oh, no, you know what? I always listen to you at 2x speed. Okay, well, that would do it too.
Yep. That's my experience too.
So this is a great segue, great transition, Steven, into Sunday being unplugged, right? And you kind of hinted about it, that you like to unplug. And so what I ask all the guests every Sunday is, I need this day of the week, or at least this thought of this day of the week, regardless of if when I was in the 9 to 5 and you and I worked together at 2 or 3 different companies over the course of 800 and something years, or close to 800 years. And now as a podcaster, right, I need this time to unplug from the work. I need to unplug from technology, and I need to just like chill out and reset my mind and just focus on my friends and my family and my hobbies and my health and the things that make me, right, other than technology and work. So what does being unplugged mean to you?
So it's funny because unplugged isn't necessarily, to me, no technology. Mm-hmm. However, I have started to incorporate that into my unplugged. So for me, it's unplugged is to disengage yourself from the routines of what it is that you're doing on the workspace or the career space or the how do I take care of my family space, and rolling that over into more of a how do I become the person that I want to become? How do I turn into the person that when I close my eyes and I think of myself, and generally speaking, we think of ourselves in all the positives of all the good intentions we have. How do I turn myself into that person? And am I on track for that? It was many years ago. actually going back all the way to when you and I met, I've had this almost 2-year cycle of gain weight, lose weight. And, I've never really been really big, but I never seemed to get into a pattern that worked for me. And so, those are the kinds of things that I'm like, I really want to be in shape, but I didn't have the disciplines in place. So, the part of the maturing on what it is you do and whatever, you got to really make some decisions because, like one of the things I hear a lot is people say, well, I gotta make time for this, or, I haven't made time for that. It's like, and it's so cliche, and I almost hate to say it because it's cliche and I know you've heard it before, but there is no making time. Everybody has the same amount of time. I mean, our 800-year IT friendship was the time that we had, that we were at the same place and we enjoyed the same things. And, we spent time together in that way. But, everyone else had the same exact amount of time. So you have to take time. You have to be really intentional. And so if you're going to unplug, you need to find the things, and that may be a journey as well, because I've had to journey through that process also. And I'm definitely not there because it's a journey. So you take time and you say, this is the thing I want to commit myself to now. When it comes to like careers, when I'm thinking about that at work, because we've worked some places, and I know everyone on these tech podcasts have worked places where you had to work really hard for a period of time. Hopefully it was a short period, but it could have been long. And I call that surging up. You have to surge up sometimes to achieve a goal, to finish a project, to make a client happy when things have gone wrong. Those are the things you have to do. You have to surge up. But man, you need that surge down time too. You need to be able to step back and go, okay, it's time to catch my breath, because you just can't go all out all the time. I guess a good example of that, I was watching Michael Phelps swim in the Olympics, and he had like 30 minutes between swims where he had to win gold and then he had to complete a semifinal. And you could just tell he was sapped. And, even Michael Phelps, as great as he is, he needs that downtime for the rest and recovery so that he can perform at 20 plus Olympic gold hero that dude is in the swimming pool.
Yeah, so crazy amount of productivity. Talk about Productivity Tuesday. That dude just like cranking it out.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I tweeted out that Michael Phelps is an alchemist. He turns things into gold.
Nice.
It's crazy.
So, Steven, this concept of surging up and surging down to achieve the goal, when we're surging up, sometimes the goal, like you kind of talked about it, okay, your particular goal was to get in shape and stay in shape, right? But there was this lack of discipline or just lack of turning the exercise into a habit, turning the good eating into a habit, right? But you're surging up. The things that you talked about surging up were work related, right? And many times those are not by choice. Those are because the boss tells us to, because the company needs it, because the client is having a meltdown, and they need that zero to hero person to come in and save the day and get it all done over the weekend. And we have these goals for our future self. Like you said, we close our eyes and we picture ourselves what we want to be in the future. And we want to be that, but we have to do some other things. So how do you find balance between surging up on the things that you want to surge up for and spend time, committing time, making time, prioritizing time in order to get to the goals that you want to do. But then also at the same time, we're constantly having to surge up because of whatever else, because of other people's priorities.
Part of that is your gut feel, right? Your that vision of who you want to be and what identity you want to have and how you want people to view you is part of what is going to drive that. So for those people that want to be financially successful, they're going to make other sacrifices in their life in order to achieve that. For those that want to be friendship successful, they're going to have to make some sacrifices in order to do that. And, if you're willing to commit to those choices for yourself, then that is how you decide what to spend your time on. When I'm in those surge up periods, I kind of go, okay, what is it in my life I'm going to have to lay down? Sometimes it's sleep, but you can't go without sleep forever. So you say, well, for this period of time, I'm going to be really tired. And you may have to negotiate that with your family members or your friends, that, whatever your community is that you're locked in with. You say, for this period of time, it's going to be a bit nuts. But what this will do for us is this will achieve this goal. Where I think people get into trouble is they don't understand what the end result is they're looking for. Work is always going to be as much as they can get from you for whatever they can pay you. That's the negotiation that everyone goes into in work. They're like, I want to get this, the company has a need, and the need is I need someone to run my systems, or I need someone to be on the phone, or I need someone to make my clients happy. That's their need. And you are offering to fill that need. You say, well, okay, I'm going to do that. But in order for me to do that, this is what I expect from you. I expect a salary of X. And so there's your negotiation. Well, then what I've seen happen is people will try to overachieve in order to get to the next level or get a promotion or learn new skills or whatever. And so then they'll start adding more to themselves, which they think makes them more valuable. But they haven't found that balance again of, this is what we agreed we would do, and this is what I'm willing to do for that. So, and you see that a lot on IT people, and particularly salaried IT people, is some of them will just work themselves to death, and they'll just keep going and keep going and keep going until they burn out. And you need these guys who are doing that, they really need to understand, like, how much is your time worth? How much is your work worth? And once you get to 40 hours, every minute you work after that, you're actually reducing your salary.
Yeah. So what exactly is important to you? I love hard work, right? I love being very productive. I love contributing to a team and building something bigger than just myself. But I also know that the bottom line for, if I'm working for an organization, if I'm working for a company, or if I'm consulting for somebody else, working for a client, that exactly what you said, like they're looking out for their bottom line, and they may like you as an individual, but they're not there to completely protect your best interests, meaning your family and your health and everything that is your personal priorities. They're there to get their priorities, which is, right, in many organizations, it is make a ton of profit for the shareholders of the company. And whichever way that we can do that outside of breaking the law, we're going to do that. So that means ask for more work from fewer people and ask you to put in more hours. And some people, depending on what phase of life they're in and what kind of headspace they're in, they're going to say, yeah, I'll do it. And that's okay. That's cool. That's great. I love that people want to step up and want to take on a challenge and contribute to that. But you're right. You can give too much of yourself, and just take the salary stuff aside for a minute. If salary is your thing, if you want to optimize for money, then you're taking a risk on degrading your income level by putting in more and more hours. Like you said, your hourly rate is now going down because you're putting in all this unpaid overtime with the hopes of, I'm going to get that bonus at the end of the year, or I'm going to get that promotion, which is going to put me at the next pay scale level, right? And so you're kind of wagering your time in the hopes that you're going to get paid off with a bigger salary later. But at the same time, that time that you're investing is time that you can now not invest in something else that you also want to prioritize, like your family or your friendships or your health or whatever else is going on, because you're invested into this company or into this job.
Exactly so.
Cool, man. So what do we do about it? So, hey, let's do this. So we talked about surging up. Let's talk about surging down. But first, let's take a quick break and thank our sponsors. This episode of Hello Tech Pros is sponsored by Minio Cloud Storage. Minio is a cloud object storage server for developers and DevOps written in Go. The Go programming language is the emerging language of choice for modern cloud infrastructure projects, and it allows Minio to be highly concurrent and lightweight. Minio is Amazon S3 compatible, built with microstorage architecture in mind, but at its heart, Minio is simple, scalable, and supported by a passionate developer and user community. In episode 89 of Hello Tech Pros, I talked with A.B. Periasamy, one of the founders of Minio, about the importance of community support and recruiting software developers who are as passionate about their product's code as artists are of their art. Check out that episode at hellotechpros.com/89 and check out Minio Cloud Storage at minio.io. That's minio.io. Are you new to podcasting? Are you looking for a fast, high-quality, yet budget-friendly podcast production team? Let TransSource Media take care of you. With a team of professional audio and video editors, writers, and graphic artists, they can help you build your podcast from planning, post-production, and platform submission. Using only cutting-edge software and studio equipment, they're here to make each and every show sound at its best. To get a free quote, please visit www.transsourcemedia.com or send them an email at marketing@transsourcemedia.com or call them at 209-505-5693. TransSource Media, transforming businesses through the power of multimedia. Okay, we're back with Steven Judd, 23-year IT professional and close to 800-year personal friend of mine and colleague of mine. We worked together at a number of different organizations. I think if people compared our LinkedIn profiles, it'd be like, wow, like either Chad's stalking Steven, Steven's stalking Chad, or something. Because we've been together for so long at so many different places. But that's another conversation for another day. Steven, we've been talking about how you surge up to achieve a goal, right? So you put in a ton of effort, you like focus, you prioritize on it. You got to get into that mindset where you're like stretching out, like warming up and just going full steam ahead to accomplish whatever goal that you're going to accomplish. But then at some point we have to surge down, as you call it, to take time out, to catch our breath, to relax, to unwind, to just get our energy level back, as well as to reprioritize on the next goal. So how do you go about doing that?
So what I do, what I've found for me, at least at this point, is I do long runs. And I found that long runs for me allows me to clear my mind. I get some clarity that I haven't found doing other things. I used to be into team sports. And, on the audio podcast, you can't tell that I'm not a very tall person and I'm not a very big person, right? So in team sports, they're all designed around people that are have an overwhelming size. And not having that, I kept getting hurt by those guys who did have overwhelming size. But I enjoyed the sports because I have fairly good hand-eye coordination and I have an ability to determine patterns on the fly. It's just one of those odd IT superpower things that I have. And so, I can tell when people are moving around where the angles are, which when you're playing soccer, that's a really good skill to have.
Yeah.
In college, I got second twice in a table tennis tournament. There was one guy I just couldn't seem to beat. And I got first in a billiards tournament. And so my hand-eye coordination was really good. So I was always drawn to sports. So after a broken hand, separated shoulder, a dislocated elbow, 2 ACL tears, and torn cartilage in the knee, not to mention the numerous rolled ankles, jammed thumbs, whatever, I said, I'm getting hurt. I got to find some other thing to do because, I'm just not into pain for a t-shirt. Because when I tore my ACL the first time playing indoor soccer, our particular team was pretty good, and I got a t-shirt. Actually, we got second. So I got a runner-up T-shirt. I'm like,
Yeah.
I wanted to iron onto the back of the shirt, one of those stencils that said, tore my ACL and all I got was this lousy shirt.
Right.
It's like, ow, that was not what I was looking for. And that whole process set me back like a year and a half in just being able to do things normally. And so, then I'm wearing a knee brace anytime I'm trying to do sports again after that, and finally worked my way off the knee brace. And then I tore my other ACL playing basketball. This was 2008. And I was like, okay, I'm done. I just can't. And, the whole time, after I got married in 2001, the whole time I'm doing these sports things and intramurals, my wife's going, you're getting too old for this. You're getting too old for this. You're getting too old for this. I'm like, do you have a button around somewhere that you push whenever I come in that you could just, have that phrase play?
Right.
The equivalent, the late 30s male equivalent of the easy button. Just come in, press it. You're getting too old for this.
Getting too old.
So
you're not stretching enough.
Yeah. So after that last ACL tear, I was like, oh, gosh. So what do I do? Do I fix it? Because strangely enough, you can live without an ACL.
Huh.
And it's not required unless you're doing cutting sports, because then you need the stability of the knee. And so I'm like, all right, well, what sports do I play? Let's see. Like soccer, cutting sport. Basketball, cutting sport. Tennis, cutting sport. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to make some changes. So from 2008 to 2010, I basically did nothing except eat and gain weight. And so I go on a family vacation, had a great time, come back, I look at the pictures and I go, I'm a short, bald, white, fat guy. There's only one of those that I can really do anything about, so I guess I better get going. And so I was like, I got to get some kind of exercise. So I started doing treadmill and swimming. And I did the treadmill just out of, what am I going to do? But my knees really hurt from doing the treadmill initially. And it was because I weighed too much. There's too much pounds per square inch going onto the knee joint. So once I started swimming, and oh, by the way, you have to say, and I started eating right. Because if you don't have your nutrition, all the rest of it is just a waste of time. Because you can't outrun a fork. So, got the nutrition going, then I started getting the weight coming down. Once the weight got to a certain level, then I could get back to doing some light jogs, then whatever. And so I started losing weight. I started feeling better. I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. So enter 2011, I get into one of those crazy weight loss contests at work. And I'm like, hey, this will be fun. Pay my money and have a contest, have a goal. And it was a 16-week contest, and 12 weeks into it, I hit my goal weight.
Nice.
And I'm like, it's nice, but there's a problem with hitting your goal with 4 weeks to go. What do you do next?
I don't know.
What do you do for the next 4 weeks?
Do you plateau, or do you keep going, or what do you do?
Exactly. And I had kind of plateaued. I had only lost 1 pound in the previous 3 weeks when I hit my goal weight. And so I'm like, well, looks like the contest is over. So now I got to find some way to motivate myself for the next 4 weeks to not go back to the buffet or not to give up on this contest or whatever. So I was like, I know. I usually run 5K on the treadmill. I just step up. Almost all of them have a 5K button. You just press 5K and start running. I'm like, I know. I'm going to sign up for a 10K. That'll be twice as far as I've ever run. This is going to be sweet. And in Oklahoma City, where I live, we have the Oklahoma City Memorial Marathon. And it's for the Murrah. It basically funds the operation of the Murrah Memorial there in Oklahoma City, where the Murrah building bombing happened. So I'm like, I'm going to sign up for that. It's going to be great. And so this is the day before our company would not fund. Let's see, I'm saying this wrong. Let me say it again. Our company pays for it because we're the primary sponsor of that marathon. and it's the day before they won't pay anymore. And me being somewhat of an IT cheapskate as well, I'm like, I got to get signed up because this is the last day. And of course, I had that thought in the afternoon. I'm like, oh, I'll sign up. I'll do it tonight. So I get online and I'm like, I'll sign up for the 10K. This is going to be great. 4 weeks to prepare is spectacular. And I'm like, 1 mile fun run. Nope, don't want to do that. 5K family run and 5K. Nope, don't want to do that. Half marathon, full marathon. Where's the 10K?
Where's the 10K? What happened there?
Yeah, there is no 10K. So it's 1, 5, half, full. And I'm sitting there looking at that and I'm like, well, how bad could it be? Half. So anyone who's listened to your podcast know that you just signed up for a marathon this year.
Yep.
And when you're thinking, how bad can it be?
Oh,
and you only have 4 weeks to train. It can be pretty bad.
This does not sound like a surging down conversation. This sounds again like another surging up scenario. So I
actually have a problem with surging down. I'm not very good at it. But what I am good at setting goals and trying to achieve them. So I'm going to get into how I managed to turn this into a surge down.
Okay, cool.
So I sign up. I got 4 weeks to go. I start running. I'm like, I need shoes because I didn't even have running shoes. I just had my regular old tennis shoes. So I go buy some running shoes, get the inserts, thinking I'm, doing the right thing. Went to the store. They helped me out. And I started having knee pain when I started running longer distances. And, I downloaded a schedule. I'm like, where should I be in this schedule? And it's like a 12-week schedule. And I'm 8 weeks behind on my 12-week schedule. And what I now know at this point is, you're supposed to be at your peak in those 12 or 8 weeks. And then you start thinking about what your taper is going to be. So, again, you have to rest in order to be able to perform. And, that's the thing that you got to learn about yourself and about your work and your pleasure activities and whatever is you have to rest in order to perform, right? So if you're always on surge up, you're never going to perform as well as if you surge down and then you're ready. So I go run the half marathon. It was extremely painful because I had ITB inflammation, which is that long ligament that runs down the outside of your knees.
Yeah.
And so I finished I got to mile 6 and I was stopping at the water breaks so I could get something to drink and just kind of, walk through them to settle down. And after the one at mile 6, it was so painful. It felt like I had glass in my knees. And I'm like, I can't stop again, because if I stop again, I'm not going to be able to get going again.
Right.
So I ran the next, 7.1 miles without stopping, just running through all the rest areas or water areas. And I finished and I was like, wow, that was really hard. So it then took me, it was only like 4 blocks to where my car was parked. It took me a half an hour to walk the 4 blocks to my car because I couldn't step more than 12 inches at a time. And you would think that after that experience, a wise person would go, running long distance is not for you. However, I'm not that person.
He's not that wise person.
I'm the person who says that was really hard and I must have done it wrong. And I had. So then I actually bothered to learn. And so this is what I do, is I learn the techniques. So I go look at how I'm running. I go look at my shoes. I read articles. I'm like, oh, okay, I was overstriding. My shoes were adjusted wrong. I hadn't worked into it. You got to do this. You got to do that. Here's some stretches you can do. And I basically retrained myself how to run. And after that, then I go do another half marathon in around Thanksgiving time, same year, 2011. And I run the 13.1 with no pain and I made my pace, and I had a great time. And so now what I do is, since then, I've completed another half marathon that was a timed event and 7 full marathons. And the last thing that I did, the last achievement run that I did, was I did the Dopey Challenge this year at Disney World. And that's where you run a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, and a full marathon on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And after that, it's like, I really do enjoy this time. And the thing that I enjoy the most about it is it's sort of a social sport, but I can't really talk when I'm running because no one moves at your same pace. And that's the challenge of running, is it's not very social. If you're doing cycling, you can all bunch together and you can kind of talk, and especially on downhill parts where you're not really having to crank away at it. Mm-hmm. But on running, if you want to rest, you're not moving. And so that's kind of the anti-goal of getting to the finish line. So what I do is I put on my headphones, or I don't put on headphones. I don't put on anything, and I just start running, and I let my mind do what a lot of people like to do in the shower. Is just think about how your day has gone, or think about things you want to do, or whatever. I just turn my mind loose and go, let's just think about whatever you want to think about. Now, even though I turn my mind loose, you got to pay attention too. Because if you start thinking about negative things, then the odd part about that is you'll slow down and you tend to get injured. And really? I don't know exactly what it is about that, but you can tell when you're having a bad day and you're fuming in your mind over something and you go for a run, that you're more tired at the end of it, you're more likely to be sore, and you've run slower than your standard pace. So
I did not know that.
Yeah. So whenever I'm on these long runs and I find myself cycling over to something negative, I'm like, okay, let's solve this problem in my head. Let's put together an action plan for how you can do it. If there is no solution for it, then let that sucker go, because what are you thinking about if you already know there's no solution for it? Like the guy that cut you off on the highway, whatever, and, you're like, if I was there, I'd get that guy. You don't know that guy, and you'll never see that guy again in your life. And he may have just made a mistake and accidentally cut you off. So since you have no control over it, let that junk go and get back to thinking about how awesome your run is, and how green the grass is that you're running by, and how blue the sky is that you're running under, and how you've got a goal for the Dopey Challenge coming up, and you're right on track, and everything's going well, and this is awesome. And if it's not, find some way to get all of those things that you're on tune for into that line.
Man, I love that, because it's a mental exercise. Running is not physical. I mean, there's a physical component to it. But for me, once I actually, you were my mentor, and I followed you, and I talked about you on prior episodes of the podcast, but I didn't give you a shout out because I didn't know if you're comfortable with that. But I'll tell you now, you were my mentor, and I saw you the first time you came back from Disney, and you were wearing your medals to work, and you were so proud, and we were all so proud for you. And we were like, wow, dang, Steven, how did you do this? I mean, I knew that you had gone through these surgeries, right? I have played soccer with you. I have been there when you've got injured, and it's like, how is this dude going 26.2 miles when he's got like literally things cut out of his body and are no longer supporting his knees anymore? How is that possible? How'd you do it? And so I talked to you about it. We celebrated it, we laughed about it, and you gave me some good advice back then, not just to me, but just a whole group of people that we were all friends with. And then when it came to last year, so 2015, I had moved across country, and I was not with my soccer buddies anymore. And the training, the running schedule for me here in Central Florida is completely different, just because of the humidity is like off the charts. It's hot even in the winter. I mean, it's different, and I'm not used to it. And it has totally been a mental game of breaking those mental barriers. Like I have never ever gotten past 4 miles in my life until this last year. And I mean, I played soccer every week. I was in fairly good shape most of my life, as far as, being able to run and sprint and cut and stuff like that. But there was a mental barrier of just like, I can do 3 and I'm comfortable with that. But like right after 3, I just crash and I have like no energy left. I have no stamina. I'm dead. My legs are out. My lungs are tired. I just can't do it. And that I can't do it held me back from so much in work and in life and in running. And once I got past that mental barrier, and the reason the way I got past that mental barrier was kind of like you had, where I tried to sign up for the Disney marathon because I was like, okay, I need a goal. I'm not going to sign up for the marathon, but I think between like July or August when I started training and January when the Disney run is, I can train up for a half marathon. And even if I have to do the run walk method where, I run for a couple miles and then walk for a mile and then run for a couple, even if I have to do that, I can do it. And so I tried to sign up for the Disney Marathon, and they were all sold out of all the shorter events. The 5K, the 10K, the half marathon were all completely sold out, and there was only the marathon. Now, I could have done more research and been like, you know what, Florida has a huge running community, and there are marathons and half marathons and 10Ks and 5Ks like literally every weekend somewhere in Florida, during the fall and winter and spring season. There's constantly runs going on, but I had my mind set on Disney, and I knew right then when I had the website open, if I click close on the browser and I don't sign up for this, then I'm not going to sign up for anything. I'm not going to do it. And I'm just going to sit here in this state of never knowing or never pushing myself or never giving myself the opportunity to try to push myself. And so that was a mental barrier that I had to overcome of just, I'm just going to register for the full. And it's kind of a waste of money to pay for the full and only train for the half, but I'm going to do that. And then if I can make it to the halfway point at Disney, that will be my success. I will have achieved my goal, and I'll be here like registered for the full marathon, but my goal is really completing the half. Well, long story short, I actually, in my training schedule, once I broke 6 miles and I was like, holy cow, I didn't die. That's amazing. 6 miles is 2 miles longer than my best run ever in my life, and it's twice as long as I really ever normally run. What's next week? And next week was 8, and then the week after that was 10, and then the week after that was 11, and then 12, and then 13, and then all of a sudden, several months before, or about 2 months before my full marathon run, I was scheduled to run a 13-mile like training day, and I did it. And so I had accomplished my goal like 2 months early just because I set a goal past what I thought I was capable of doing. But it was all completely mental of letting go of those preconceived notions of this is all I'm capable of hitting. This is as far as I can get in life, or this is as far as I can get physically with my legs. I actually found out that I can do so much more than that if I just like forget all what has happened in the past and just set an aggressive goal. And like you said, I love what you said, let the junk go. Just get the junk out of your mind and just focus on your goal.
Yeah, I kind of gave myself, as I was starting into it, I gave myself a little phrase, which was goal set, goal met. And, I would set a goal and then be like, all right. And there's a lot more to that than just setting some goal. And because, it's the whole, is your goal actually achievable? Can you do it? It's the, the smart principles that you learn about in business. So for anyone who's listening who may have never heard of the SMART goal, I don't have a URL or anything, and I don't even remember them, but it's got to be, specific and measurable and achievable. And what is R? Oh no.
Realistic
and
time bound.
Exactly. Okay. So, use that when you're setting your goal, but do set your goal. You set a goal, I set a goal, and then you set your plan to get to said goal. And the plan actually helps you. We were talking a lot about surge up, surge down. The plan will help you in your surge down, because plan for it. In marathon training, there is the taper. Everyone who's a runner knows about the taper. And it's, oh, are you in the taper? It's getting close to the run. Have you started tapering? Because you need to rest. And that's in the plan. So you say, goal set, I'm going to do a half marathon. And so then you get your plan and you start working and you get your clothes and you learn what works and what doesn't. And the first time you do it, like the first run I ran was the Disney Marathon in 2013. That's the first marathon I ran, that is. And my family came with me, and we stayed at one of the resorts that the course actually runs right by. So all they had to do was come out and watch me go by. The problem with that was that it was at the 24.5-mile point. And when I got up to do that run, you have to get up at like 3 o'clock in the morning to do Disney runs and such, because they have them so early. Because like you said, in the winter, even though it's winter, it's kind of hot. So it's 60, 61 degrees at 4 o'clock in the morning at Disney, and I can see my breath. And, in Florida, that's probably a normal thing, but to me, I'm going, uh-oh. That looks like a problem. Mm-hmm. And because it was so humid, and it got up to be almost 90 that day. And, the second weekend in January in Florida is almost 90. And so people were falling out and just basically melting. And this is my first marathon. And I did the same thing. So when I come by my family at 24 and a half miles, they're like, you were not in good shape. You could barely hold a sentence together. And it's because of the exhaustion, the dehydration, whatever. So compare that to this year when I did a marathon. And, this was the marathon after doing the half, the 10K, and the 5K. And the last 3 miles, I ran them faster than all my previous mile splits in the run.
Wow.
Because the crowds had finally started to open up, and I had some space, and I was feeling good, and I had really metered myself to make sure I could finish. And so my last 5K was I think it was 26 or 27 minutes for a 5K split after running all those other miles. Mm-hmm. And I finished, and it felt great and all that, but you don't get to that just by being there immediately. You have to have a goal, you set your goal, and then you get after it by having a decent plan. And, it doesn't have to be running. That's our welcome to Sunday Unplugged. It doesn't have to be running. I know I have a buddy who's like really into outdoor camping and such like that. Another guy who does the fishing. Some guys who do cycling. It's whatever it is that you want to get into, have a goal for that. Set your goal, and then get your plan together so that you can meet your goal. And then when you meet it, celebrate the fact that you met your goal. That was the nice thing about coming back to work with the medal and saying, yeah, celebrate with me because we did this. And, doing the same thing for other people when they meet their goals. It's really helpful, not only to them, but also to you, because you say, if Steven can run that, then I can run that. If so-and-so can achieve this in their career, then I think I can do it. And so you start to get kind of a mentorship, and you start to read and learn and do studies and experiment and just see what comes of it.
Awesome. Great stuff. Well, Steven, just like every other conversation that we've had over the last 800 years, we have gone over time because it's just too much fun. So we're going to have to wrap this one up. But before we go, as always, please share your final words of wisdom for the audience, the best way that we can connect with you, and then we'll say goodbye.
My final words of wisdom is get your goal, set your goal, and then start working toward achieve it. Don't pay attention to the negatives. Toss all of those negative thoughts out. Make sure you rest, and then celebrate your goal when you've achieved it. The best way to get in touch with me is probably through link. I'm on LinkedIn, but I prefer Twitter, and I'm at Steven Judd on Twitter.
Awesome. We'll have those both linked up in the show notes page for this episode. Steven, thank you so much for joining me on Hello Tech Pros today. I really value this conversation, but you know what, dude? I value the years of friendship that we've had together for a long time. I mean, we do go back to 1990 something. I don't remember what year, but it was 1990 something, and that's a long time. And we worked at a lot of different companies, and we have both had a lot of ups and a lot of downs, both in our careers as well as, just life dramas that happen at home and family and stuff like that. And one of the consistent things has always been Steven is there, and he's my friend, and we'll get through this stuff together. So I just want to say I really appreciate you being in my life, for all these years and being my friend, and thanks. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, Chad. Ditto on my side as well.
Cool. Tech Pros, if you are not feeling like you're able to get unplugged because of the other stuff that's in the way, nobody else is going to prioritize you except for you, right? If you're very, very lucky, you will have a spouse or a life partner or a best friend that can be like, dude or chick or whoever you are, you need to take some time off and do this fun stuff, right? Because you're going too hard. And sometimes even on your personal goals, you can go too hard. You need to factor in that taper down time in order to give yourself that rest and recovery. Otherwise, you're going to burn out your muscles, you're going to burn out your mind, you're going to burn out your heart, instead of pacing yourself. It's all about setting those goals that you want to accomplish that will make you a better you, but then pacing yourself at the appropriate times to give yourself that recovery period so that you can reflect on, is the goal still appropriate? And if so, yeah, then what's the next way that I can accomplish it? You've been listening to Steven Judd, and I'm Chad Bostic. And until next time, take care. The show notes page for this episode can be found at hellotechpros.com/140. Do you use Slack for team communication? Join the Hello Tech Pros Slack channel at hellotechpros.com/Slack. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review, subscribe to this channel, and check back tomorrow. This has been Sunday being unplugged, but tomorrow my featured guest and I will get fired up and ready to face the week with Motivation Monday. On Tuesday, we'll be discussing productivity, Wednesday, leadership, Thursday, technology, Friday, people and communication, Saturday, entrepreneurship, and back again on Sunday to get unplugged. And I'll talk to you tomorrow.